we'll try to get it figured out for Martin. He hasn't been on the. He joined up as a supporter here. Yeah, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, and this is first time on one of the Hangouts. And I want to say South Africa, maybe. I don't remember exactly what. Well, we'll ask him when we get him actually in here for real. But yeah. So how's the job going, Noah?
It's going pretty well. So we're been learning a lot of things. It's been a little frustrating sometimes, feeling like a beginner all over again.
Yeah.
But
I don't see the mute anymore, so that's a good sign. You know. Might be worth trying that settings gear again and see if you can select a different microphone there.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Just pick you up.
Wow. Okay, I've never done this before on this laptop, and it's not an old laptop, so I've plugged in my Samsung headset now, and it seems to work.
Well, yeah, that's it's always trial and error with this stuff. So good to have you here. I'm glad you made it on.
Thank you. Sorry, I thought I would just listen in and see what you guys talk about. I didn't think I would actually participate in this so much.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's okay too, right? There is no pressure here at all. And this is there is a YouTube live stream too. So I mean that's an option too to go that route if that's something you would prefer, for the future. That stuff. I haven't been publicizing a URL for that, but I certainly can do that. I kind of expected that, supporters who wanted to get in here would probably want to just get in on the Hangout. But there was basically some requests to say, hey, let's record these things so people who miss it can check it out. And the Hangouts on air live YouTube, I think it was the easiest way to do that. So that is there as well. So
yeah, this is awesome, man. No, thank you very much.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for joining in and all of that. Now, remind me where you're at.
I'm in South Africa.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, at Capitec Bank. I'm working currently for the last 2 years. Before that, I worked in Johannesburg. Well, most of my career actually, and I don't know.
Cool.
My view in front of me is the sea.
Nice.
That's one thing I can brag about.
That's good.
Yeah.
Have you always lived in South Africa?
Yeah, my whole life. I've been to about 3 countries. I've been to Nigeria. I've worked there a couple of times, and I've worked in Holland for about 3 months. And while I was there, I toured to Belgium a little bit.
Okay.
But that's about it. Yeah, I've never been to America or Australia or the UK or anywhere else. No.
Yeah. Well, I've been to the U.S. Living here. Obviously, I've been to Mexico a couple times, and I've taken 2 or is it 3? No, 3 trips to Europe. So I've been to Europe 3 times. So that's
okay.
but that's pretty limited too as far as what I've seen of the world.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah. So I think Clarice Bauver was the only South African guest that I've had on the show. There have been a few from Africa, Nigeria and Zimbabwe, and Kenneth is where's he from? Kenya. He's from Kenya.
Okay. Kenya. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, South Africans I think are very quiet.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah.
Project manager I had in my last job, he was from South Africa as well.
Oh, okay.
A really sharp guy. And I don't know. I guess he was kind of quiet, but very sharp when he had anything to say.
Yeah.
That was partly just his role too, though, I think.
South Africa seems like it's got some significant differences from the rest of Africa. Am I way off on that?
No, absolutely true. I mean, when I went to Nigeria, I remember, yes, I've been there like 7 or 8 times, and I don't know, every time I came back, I got a new appreciation for my own country. It's like this is like a space country in terms of infrastructure and stuff that we have compared to Nigeria. And I'm sure that South Africa compared to your country might even be maybe, I don't know, halfway there.
It seems more Western is kind of the impression I get, and that's based on not much, but
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
When I speak to Americans in Europe, they think I'm British.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why, because I usually say that I'm not English, so please excuse my language. And then they say, no, your English is perfect. I thought you were British.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, Clarice, having her on the show was very different from talking to Prosper. Was the first, the first other than South Africa, African guest that I had on, and he was from Nigeria, and he was outstanding. That guy was just so much enthusiasm and passion, and just helping his fellow African developers to be world-class developers, and just just contagious. He was cool, but it was a very difference in the culture. It just seemed very. It seemed like Clarice could have been from Europe.
Yeah, and you know what? Okay, let me not say this, but you know what? Nigerians are very proud people, and I seriously love them. I've gotten a new respect for them since I've been to their country so many times. I honestly have. They might have a very, very bad reputation in most of South Africa, but since I've been to their country, their country is double the size of our country in terms of population. I think their country is something like 150 million people, where ours is like 60, 70 million people. And but they are a very proud nation, very eager to learn. Those that I've met personally, they are really awesome.
That's cool.
People, I love them.
Yeah. Well, that's neat. Nothing like some exposure, right, to get familiar and to kind of clear up some of the preconceived notions we have. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, all the drug dealers are Nigerian in South Africa. You would often hear it even in our movies. You would see, the crime lords are Nigerian, or what I mean. It's this. I don't know. People just have this association with it. Even when I tell people I've been to Nigeria, they're like, "Really? That's terrible." Why would you go there?
Wow.
But it's actually an amazing place. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. A lot more mild than what you expect. When I interviewed kind of an organization, Zimbo Pi, that in Zimbabwe, right, that they have, helping girls learn to code in Zimbabwe. And, I was kind of asking one of the people there about, why this was such a passion, such an interesting thing to him. And he started talking about forced marriages, right? The girls, children being, forced into marriage and some of that stuff. And it kind of made my head spin that, those are the concerns that were being dealt with there, that, even in 2017, that's still a thing. That was, it was kind of an eye opener to me that, I think,
where in South Africa?
A lot of.
Where in South Africa?
No, in Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay.
So,
but you know what? Someone from your country, Mark Gango, is a big Christian marriage counselor. Even he promotes arranged marriages. I just want to throw it out there.
Oh, really?
And he says that those are the most successful marriages still today. But he doesn't promote it like you do as a forced marriage. He just promotes it as an arranged marriage, where the two get to meet each other beforehand, but the parents kind of set it up, and they could always say no if they in the first 5 or 10 minutes said they don't like the other person.
Wow.
But apparently those marriages are far more successful than any other marriage.
Interesting.
But it's not a forced thing like you would state it.
Yeah. Well, I guess to me, as long as there is a no, right? As long as you have an option, you can opt out of the thing. Then that's you can make a case for that. There's that's. But it seems very, very suboptimal to me. But and you wonder too, right? I mean, saying that there's greater success and greater lasting marriages because of that. Well, maybe it's because of that, or maybe there's something cultural that is a confounding influence on that thing, right? It's not necessarily apples to apples. So who knows?
But
Yeah.
maybe if I listened to my mom, I wouldn't have been divorced once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes a difference. Yeah. Here. What's happening, man? Oh, you're muted.
Good afternoon, boys and girls in the Internet. How are you today?
Doing great. Doing great. Want you to meet Martin.
Hey, Martin.
Actually,
What's up?
you do say it. You do say it, Martin, or do you say is in South
Yeah,
Africa? That's
Martin.
pronounced different. Okay. All right. Good. Good.
That's Martin, yes.
Oh, cool.
Good. Right
Nice to
on.
meet you.
Yeah.
I live in the winelands in Stellenbosch. I even have a glass of wine. Sorry, guys, I just joined to listen in, but I didn't think I would actually participate. So sorry. It's very late here. I don't know what time it is there, but it's 9:15 here now,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, I'm supposed to be going to bed soon, you know. But yeah,
Yeah. International with time zones is a challenge. It's you know we could do this earlier, but you know we have one participant. She hasn't been on for a while. Kirsten is in Australia, and so this time was kind of chosen as it's evening in Europe, it's Monday morning in Australia, and it's mid-afternoon in the U.S. So you know it's. I think this was kind of the best compromise that we could come up with. I mean, I'm always open to other ideas for different times. In fact, it's fairly. I mean, it's 1 p.m. for me, which is you know, it's kind of an interruption in the middle of my Sunday. You know, so you know, as far as you know, doing family activities and things like that. So it's not really an ideal time for me either. But I think it is really pretty much the one time that is sort of workable across multiple continents.
yeah. That's going to be challenging. You won't believe it. As you say, it's an interruption to your Sunday. I took 5 girls to the mall this morning to buy clothing.
5 girls. So those are all your daughters?
Yeah, well, 4 on my own.
Oh, yeah.
My wife and I both come from the same background. We have 2 children from a previous marriage.
Oh, yeah.
And we are doing the complicated thing, you know, your children, my children, and our children.
Yeah.
But last December, my 2 children would have came to stay with me. And while her 2 children was visiting us, their father died. So they also stayed with us. So our family doubled from 4 to 8.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And so this morning we went to the mall. It was the typical, you know, catch up on clothing buying spree. And yeah, so it was a nice day for everyone. Because we live far out in, you know, away from malls and all of that, because I've lived in city all my life. So now we live here in this countryside far away, and I don't know, I'm just loving it. But the children, they expect malls and they expect what they were used to, you know, so it's quite interesting.
I am terrified to think of how much money you spend today. That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why you have to put away every month, a little bit, child.
I guess. Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Jose, how's the week been?
I was not muted there. It's been quite crazy from my side, guys. I don't know about you, but it's been quite a ride. Quite of interruptive. I just want a normal, boring life. That's all I want, and I can't seem to get that lately.
Work or
but
personal or both?
Both, really.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What's up, Noah?
You okay, man? Are you doing okay, Jose?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, and it's just I hope this is like the what is it? Like we got over the hump of the culmination of many things, a lot of loose ends, and things going forward look a little bit more brighter. But like I was telling Dave last week, guys, I run. I've been running now for 2 years, more than that now. And one of the things I'm learning there is that you'll be surprised how much you can push yourself, and how surprised you will be that you can come out of any challenge that you're faced with. Sometimes self-induced, and sometimes, you know, they will come out from nowhere, right? So that keeps me grounded to make sure that, hey, this too will pass. This too will pass, and just the next thing will come. So yeah, it's just still tired though, but making it through, pushing through. I have I'm not gonna be here next week, so sorry to disappoint you guys off the bat. I'm gonna be partying it up with some family next Saturday, Sunday. If I come on, it's probably gonna be like hangover. I don't know if you guys want that. But yeah, I guess the guys let you know that I'm not gonna be here next week. I may or may not. I don't know. It depends. Depends. I may be hungover or drunk, a little bit of both. I'll be like, you know what? Let me see what these nerds are up to, and find out what how they're trying to take over the world today.
Nerds. It made me think of Revenge of the Nerds, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, but thank you for asking, Dave. It's been rough, but I'm coming through.
Well, yeah.
Just pushing through.
So you're gonna be partying with Grandma that used to call you her granddaughter?
No,
as we were talking about with the earrings.
No, she's back in the motherland. So no, I'm not gonna see that, but I'm gonna see the next best incarnation, her daughter, which is my aunt. And just to let you know, I moved from New York area to North Carolina. So I moved from the northeast of the United States to the southeast of the United States, and I did not tell my aunt. Actually, I didn't tell anyone. So she's gonna let me have it when I go see her this weekend. Because right now she's my pseudo mom, and she's just gonna let me have it. Like I cannot wait for her little discourse and forth. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Cool. Yeah. Now I can't for the life of me remember how to do it. I know that, and so I clicked on one of the images, for the video of an individual person, and now I can't seem to get it back to where it just goes to the speaker. You know how to do that? I know you can do it. You know what I'm talking about in the Hangout?
I've done it before, but I can't recall either. I just pushed things until it worked again.
Yeah, I know there's an easy way to do it, and I'm embarrassed that I can't recall how.
Push the same picture again, like your picture that you just clicked, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. When you click on the picture, look at the menu at the top.
Maybe if you click on yourself,
you can switch stuff on and off there.
I think I might have done it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. I'm not quite sure what I did. I did click on myself. I think double clicking might have been the thing that actually did it. So anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm feeling a little sweaty. I was out jumping on the trampoline with the kids here just a little while ago. So it is hot, man. Well, it's not that hot. I mean, hot for here. It's 85 Fahrenheit or so. I guess we only have one non-US participant today, so I can say Fahrenheit without at least the majority is with me on that. So, but yeah. So Noah is in California and Jose is in North Carolina. So we are East and West Coast, and then I'm right in the middle in Denver. So, but yeah.
They
haven't had any of the Europeans on in a while. Tom Pryor used to get on quite a bit, but he hasn't been on in a while. So I'll have to check in with him, see if I know that he's got a lot of family stuff on Sundays and stuff. Sunday evenings, he can usually break away after the kids go to bed, or at least in the past he was able to, but things change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How are you guys? How was your week?
Week's been good for me, man. I got a lot done at my contract that I'm working on, and so I interviewed a guy this week, Joe Colantonio. You guys might be familiar with him. He was on one of my early episodes. He had kind of recently started his podcast when I started mine, so we were kind of new podcasters, and so we hooked up and were kind of commiserating a little bit, kind of figuring out, not commiserating, we were collaborating on trying to understand what the heck we were doing and stuff. And I had him on one of the early episodes, and so he's going to come on for a second episode. But just talking to him, he has, I think he's figured out the secret. He's figured out how to really monetize the thing and make money. He did a virtual conference. And he said that he got a lot of income from doing that. And so I'm, Sean Rakowski, I mean, Sean's often on these as well, Martin, but so, the other guys know who I'm talking about. He's been telling me for a long time that I should have the Developer on Fire conference, right? And I've been saying, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It sounds like a hell of a lot of work and a big thing to organize. And I don't even know if anybody would want to come. And all of the myriad reasons why I shouldn't do it, right? But when Joe told me about the income that he was making from doing his virtual conference, it got me thinking, man, that is probably the path that I've been looking for, the thing that can get me into the place where I can do media instead of having to do contracts, and then I can work on open source software and do just open up possibilities for me to kind of change what my focus is and not spend so much of my time paying the bills. And we've talked about this a few times, Jose, right? About trying to break into a different lifestyle. So I'm really excited about the possibility that the virtual conference, for one thing, whenever Sean was talking about conference, I'm thinking physical conference, right? Having people travel to a location and all of that stuff, which sounds so daunting to me. Virtual conference, I mean, yes, there's a lot of work that goes into organizing that too, but it takes away a lot of the logistics and a lot of the problems, and it feels doable. And if I can get anywhere near the success that Joe's had with his, it would be a big deal for me. So I think that's coming. So that's kind of the big exciting thing this week, is that I've been thinking a lot about that. And I think that is something that must happen. And so I'm going to try to put together a plan this week for when I think that's going to happen, what it's going to look like, and some of that stuff. I'm kind of thinking I could probably, get something together by, to have a conference in October. It's kind of a, from your house, join this video session thing. Joe said that he got a bunch of speakers and that they did kind of a pre-record of their sessions. And so then it was just kind of, play the session in the conference, and then the speaker is there to interact with people as they're consuming the session, which I thought was kind of an interesting idea. So I'm really stoked about this idea, and just kind of, I don't know, what do you guys think? Would that be something that would be interesting to you?
Absolutely.
For me, it makes the idea of attending a conference a lot more approachable. I've looked into going to a few different ones, and most of the time it comes down to it's going to cost me more to get there and get someplace to stay than it would to pay for the conference entry.
Yeah.
That's the more expensive part. So if you get that out of the way, it makes it much more manageable.
Yeah. I think that, the opportunity to travel somewhere and to sit at the bar with, some people and all of that stuff, there is a lot of benefit from that. And, some of that goes away. But at the same time.
So you mean to tell me when I have a conference and when I have beer in it?
Well, I think there could be, included in the price of the conference, I ship you a 6-pack or something along those lines, and we can all sit together and have, this kind of a hangout and drink our beers or something like that. And that's an idea that occurs to me. So
are you not allowed to have a beer while you watch the conference?
Well, yeah, there's really no reason not to, right?
Okay.
Well, are pants optional or mandatory?
You know me, I never require pants.
We'll play.
So yeah, that's the thing that's been on my mind. That's my big exciting thing this week, is that Sean's been talking about the conference, and when I told him this, that I'm thinking virtual conference, and that takes away a lot of my reservations about it. He was like, well, yeah, I've been thinking about that the whole time. I'm like, well, you didn't actually say that, right? But but I think that is the thing that shifts it from, oh, Sean, yes, that sounds like a cool idea, and it might work out to be really awesome, but I don't know if I want to take that kind of chance on the thing, with having to reserve a venue and, all of the planning that would go into that, and, costs that I might not be able to recoup. But man, virtual, right? The costs of the thing, not that there aren't costs, but I think, in comparison, relatively compared to a physical conference, they're negligible, right? So, and I think, some of the guests of the show, I think, would be willing to do a talk. And with some of the names that I've had on the show, I think it's almost unthinkable that I wouldn't be able to sell some tickets to the thing, right? So I think I've been trying to sell sponsorships with varying degrees of success, and that's I don't really want to do that anyway. I mean, so if that is my path to monetizing the podcast, it could be a wonderful and huge thing. And I keep telling myself, stop being so excited about something that's just an idea, because you don't know. And, it's better to be pleasantly surprised than to be horribly disappointed. Right. But I can't help myself.
No, go for it, man.
There's pros and cons to that, but some of that excitement and enthusiasm will drive you to make it better than it might otherwise be if you're tempering it. That's
probably a good point. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm contracted through August with my current client, or not through August, basically into August. And if I could make it such that that's the last contract gig that I have to do, right? Trading time for dollars, hourly billing. Of course, I mean, every time I think about that, I think of Jonathan Stark, and hourly billing is nuts and all of that stuff, right? If I can shift my focus into something, different, not that I want to stop being a coder. No, I don't. But I would like for coding for dollars to stop being my primary source of income. Yes, I want that.
David, what is your current contract about, if I may ask? I'm very curious about what contract you're working on at the moment.
Sure. So right now, it's different than anything I've ever done. I'm really focusing on DevOps. I am automating a lot of the deployment and build, and exploring some container options for I'm working for Nordstrom. It's a retail store in the US. I'm working for their bank division. So they have credit cards that they issue in association with their stores. And so I'm working for the credit card division of the company, which the main company is based in Seattle, but the bank is here in Denver. And so I'm working on site with them 3 days a week. I'm doing a limited number of hours. I'm on site 3 days a week, and then I'm remote for half day on Tuesdays. And half of Tuesday and Thursday I'm focused on the podcast and doing interviews and all of the logistics around that. So that's kind of what I'm currently doing.
And the containers, are those for running tests, or what are those containers for?
Well, to be determined. I'm not completely sure what the ultimate destination is. So there's a lot of chef involved currently in setting up virtual machines, and doing Docker, I think, is potentially a path to further automating the infrastructure and making things better. It's still kind of a proof of concept that I'm working on about whether this is really an improvement for them or not. But ultimately, I mean, if it does work out to be better than what they're doing now, it would be everything, right? From development and test environments, potentially all the way up to production.
It sounds like you and I are working on exactly the same problem. I'm really
is that right?
together.
Yeah.
What's the name of the company? You sure it's not Capitec?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a common problem, right? I mean, in this world where continuous integration turns into continuous delivery, continuous deployment, all of that kind of stuff, right? It's I mean, everybody's thinking.
No, I don't know. I disagree with it's obviously a common problem, but it's not a common problem being solved.
Well, that's true.
Because I walked into this company where I am right now, and I almost got fired for trying to solve this problem. When I started there, and I shouted, we've got all these problems. We are, actually less fortunate than some of the normal companies. I almost got fired for that. And then now, two years later, I've got my own team. We're tasked at, doing this, and now there's so much being invested into this. So yeah, I agree it's a common problem. But I disagree that it's a common recognized problem. Most companies are in denial about this problem, and they don't want to address it. And so, yeah, it's a difficult
Yeah.
bridge to get over. No, I'm really impressed. Wow, I didn't. Wow, not only are we are solving the same problem, but also in the same industry. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I think it can be a hard sell, right? To say that I want
Yeah.
to work on this infrastructure to make things. It's not, here is the feature and here is the dollars that you're going to see from this thing, right? I mean, you're really selling that we are going to move faster and be able to deliver those features faster on an ongoing basis. And if you can make that point and get through the thick skulls of of some of the management and executives and all of that stuff, then yeah, I mean, there's an obvious case to be made. But getting through those barriers of saying that, hey, this really has value, then yeah, it can be a hard thing to get there.
I don't think that's the hard thing. The problem is walking to a team, and when you point out their problems, they get proud.
Yeah, defensive.
And they get defensive. And like Rick Lippert said on that show of yours, I mean, he builds tools, and he said, people don't want a hole, don't want to drill, they want the hole. And you're building the drill, and now you're telling people that their holes suck. there's better drills, or there's faster ways to get those holes, or whatever. It's a difficult thing to sell because people get defensive, especially if the management or top management have been working there for 6 years, 12 years, 18 years, and they're proud of that fact, and they build those systems, and you're the new guy walking in there saying, this sucks. Not only does it sucks horribly. We can do this a lot better if we do this and this and this and that. Immediately what they're hearing is, are you telling me I got promoted to this top management and what we've been doing all these years sucked? We make millions of rand. We can afford people like you like peanuts.
Yeah.
We're not making a lot of money because our software is great. We're making a lot of money because our product is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's developer.
Yeah. Even, I mean, you kind of phrased that as, coming in and saying that this sucks, but I mean, I'm sure that's not actually how you're saying it, right? You're saying that here are some opportunities for improvement. We could do a lot better with this, but even tactfully stated, right? The message is often taken as this sucks. Right. And that's a hard thing, right? I mean, that's human biases and the way that we hear messages and the way that we attach ourselves to our code.
David, have you ever heard of the MVVM design pattern, model view model, or the MVC, model view controller?
Yeah.
So would you agree with me that a 53,000 line controller in C# sucks?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no nice way to try and explain to someone that this sucks. So you've got a 19-year-old programmer there, and you ask him, did I see right? Is this controller 53,000 lines long? And he says, yes, and he's actually proud of it. It's 53,000 lines long. Now, you as the senior guy walking into this team, try to explain to them that this sucks. There's no nice way to put that.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that. I think you can say that we can improve this without saying that it sucks. I don't know. You're shaking your head, Jose. What do you think?
Of course. You know what? It is successful. It is successful. I mean, but still, it can be improved.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Clearly. Tact is very important, but the honest truth is important too.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you have to say, Jose?
Listen.
Jump in.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Before anything, I want to calm down a little bit. And can we get Noah to speak up?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Come on, Noah. You've been thinking too. I want to hear what Noah thinks.
Well, I mean, I do agree with Dave that there's usually a nicer way to say almost anything. Now that's not to hedge your opinion of the quality, right? We can all agree that there's things that can be improved there, and it's just not well done at all. But people are more swayed when you don't get on their emotional bad side. They're more swayed by emotion than any kind of intellect or reason. So
humans.
Yeah, And most people just don't respond well to your work sucks.
Chrome
It's
crashed
true.
on me for a moment
I've
there.
learned that from you guys. Listening to David and your podcast, I must say I've learned that from this podcast series.
Well, that's good.
I'm terrible with people. I'll admit it.
Don't worry,
it's a-
Martin. Welcome to the club, Martin.
Learning process.
Yeah, and I'm learning. Thanks, guys.
Well, I mean, it's important though. I mean, it's nuance, right? I mean, you can't just avoid the truth in order to spare somebody's feelings. That's every bit as bad as, you know, coming in and saying you are a worthless piece of shit, right? I mean, those are the two extremes, and both of those are not going to lead to desired results.
Yeah, true.
I guess I would summarize it or characterize it something like gentle honesty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't hold back the truth, but don't deliver it roughly either.
Yeah. Sucks, I think, shouldn't be a part of the conversation. There's, you know, here's what's wrong with the thing. Here's how we can make it better. You know, and it's a delicate balance. And even if you are tactful, it will often be taken as something other than that. And that's unfortunate. But dealing with humans is a lot harder than dealing with code.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I used the word sucks. I have no idea what it means to you. I'm from another country. You know, for me, sucks means it's bad. You know, for you, maybe it means it's like an atomic bomb. It's like toxic. I don't know. For you, maybe it means something a lot worse. I have no idea. But that's the best word I could come up with when I'm speaking to you guys.
Well, you know, I mean, I think the origin of the term is oral sex, right? So I think there is kind of a you know, that's where it comes from. But I think in the U.S. it's pretty well accepted too, right? I mean, my kids have started saying that something sucks, and I tell them I'd rather we not say it that way, but at the same time, you know, it's not that big a deal. The message is the same, regardless of whether you use terms that are gentle or not.
Okay, sorry guys, I didn't mean to say it sucks.
Oh, you know, I know it's not offensive at all, and especially, you know, to me, I'm. You know, you can't offend me. That's not even possible. Okay, that's probably not true, but
I can second that. Dave, you know, you guys have missed some really funky conversations.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's for Dave. That's like what, PG-13 maybe, Dave?
Probably, yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah. So yeah, no. Well, talking about that, right? And I learned that this lesson they're really hard. And if you guys believe that management or the big wigs have a problem when you tell them that their code sucks or their code base sucks, try to tell that to other developers. 1, 2. Now try to be a young spanking early 20s developer and try to tell developers in their 30s and above that their code and their solution sucks. Boy, that will get you burned fast.
Yeah.
Like that will escalate quickly. And depending on everything's context, right? Depending on the person, so the person will be like, "Oh man, you're right. It sucks. It's not that great," and they will roll with it. But others, man, might as well insult their mom or something because they take it to the heart. They take it, you know, the code, and you're like, "I'm just kind of telling you your code sucks, dude. But what's wrong with that?" But you know, some people just get really offended, you know, about we are a code and all this crap, which I don't believe in anymore. And that was actually my first job, to grade other developers' code. And
oh yeah, the instructor thing.
I
right?
had a train, my manager, right? She was brutal at grading. So guess what happened? Jose, being a good good listener, a good student, I learned from her. So I was also brutal. I didn't realize this until later. But having that job really, really sucked, because the hard part was not the code. The hard part was dealing with other developers, because, you know, the grade was a stake. You know, a lot of them were just trying to update to .NET. They were coming from VB6 backgrounds, Fortran assembly. They had no object-oriented knowledge and whatnot, and when they're trying to solve all the problems, using God objects. Hello, 50,000 line of code. And thinking that they were the hot stuff. And you tell them, no, your code sucks, and this is why. Oh man, dude, it was horrible. So what I'm trying to say is this is why sometimes I have to hold myself back a little bit, because that was my first job, really, to grade other developers' code and give them authentic feedback on why this is not a good practice, why you shouldn't be doing this, and hey, no, you're doing this right, but maybe break down your code, not have God objects, keep your functions clean, your objects, make sure blah, 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 all this stuff, right? That was my job, to make sure that they got out of the project what they pay for, right? And not create everything in one single class. So that's why I'm kind of hold myself a little bit about clean code, because it's a gray area. It really is. I mean, I was reading something about that, what is clean code? And it can be anything. What if all of us give our opinion about clean code and we look at a piece of code, all of us four, we're all gonna have 4 different opinions on what clean code means.
Yeah, and I had a different opinion of what clean code means 6 months ago than what I do now. So yeah, that's definitely the case. So yeah. The you mentioned there kind of the people who think they're hot shit, right? You know, and I think that's one one use case of this particular thing, right?
Correct.
But then there's also, right, you know, the young person that is unsure, right? They're trying to decide who they are as a coder. They don't know. They have some imposter syndrome, right? You know, do I really belong in this job? And when you tell them your code sucks, you might send them completely out of the profession, right? That might be, you know, kind of a blow that sends them, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not for me. So, you know, yeah, that's definitely something to be careful about. Yeah,
that's true. You don't want to discourage anyone. You're actually trying to help. So
yeah. And the intent is just that, right? The intent is to make it better.
Just for the record, I never said hot. I said hot stuff, Dave. We're in the record right here, man.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure.
It's something different. No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
I never. What is it? I never told anyone up front your code sucks, to be honest. But I told them, hey, we can make some improvements, and here's how. But once they got the grade back, and they were happy with it, like they thought they had the best solution, and then they see the grades, like what the hell's going on here? And that's why we had the little interchange of, yeah, you know. So it was kind of more like a ego check, you know, and anything else. But me personally, I never tried to discourage anyone, because I saw many people who came to the program, and man, when they first got in, they didn't even know if they could make it through, right? And by the end of the program, there were some of the best freaking people that were even got job offers before the program finished, because they just allow themselves to be carried away by the suggestions of the instructors that were also awesome, and others, right? So it's once again, it comes to the person. I took this, and I take that lesson that I had, because now I'm on the other side of the fence, right? If I'm learning JavaScript, actually I was learning JavaScript, guys, in my previous job, from interns, 18, 19-year-old kids. And they were freaking awesome. My ego and everything else, I left it aside, and I said, dude, teach me. That's it. That's all I said. I'll be your pupil. I'll be your disciple, whatever the hell you want me to call. Teach me. And man, those guys were able to do some crazy fun stuff. And, you know, it was through that experience, though, that I was able to, you know, keep my ego in check and say, no, I'm here to learn, because we are all beginners or something.
Yeah. The last episode that I published, well, besides the fact that I, you know, today I actually put out an episode accidentally that was supposed to go tomorrow, but the last episode before that was Kent C. Dodds, who is, you know, a JavaScript badass, right? And I think he's still in his 20s, right? I mean, he's a young dude, but man, so much to learn from that guy. And, you know, just like you said, right, you know, we can humble ourselves and listen to those younger people who really have something to say. That's good for us, right? So, I mean, that's totally cool. I'm going to put a link into the Slack that I was reading this thread. I think it was yesterday, maybe not yesterday, but I think it's an example of kind of what we're talking about, right? Some guy was saying that basically, you know, free code camp, here are the things that are wrong with it, right? You know, I came in to use this to learn how to code, and I'm disappointed with the experience. And when I read that, it was kind of like, you know, this is a free resource that, you know, super badass Quincy Larson is putting out there, and what ingratitude, jerk, right? You know, but when I think about it, I don't think that's what the guy's saying. I don't think he's being ungrateful for the free resource. I think he is offering some constructive feedback. But when I look at the thing, you know, several times in his post, he puts in there, "That's not teaching," right? You know, and it sounds abrasive. It sounds ungrateful. It sounds like it sounds dickish, you know. But I think the guy's heart is in the right place, and he's trying to say, here are some ways to improve. But you know, reading the thing, I think it's completely natural to take it a completely different way. So that's an example, I think, of exactly what we're talking about.
Isn't it always
One thing that
sorry?
oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I just gonna say one thing that I found that really seems to help when criticizing anything, but I particularly use it, you know, doing code reviews, is at least, I mean, the main point is to criticize, right? But at least find one thing that you like about it that you think is good and point it out. I think people are much more accepting of criticism when you highlight what you think they did well.
Now that's really very true. I agree with you there. Absolutely.
Yep, agree. Oh, guys, if I'm giving those part that, you know, I'm a prick when it comes down to reviewing your code, that's not the intention that I'm made out to see. Once again, I was 22, 23 at that age, you know, and I, you know, had that. Sorry?
Jose, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Don't you agree that the average 20-year-old, the average, I'm not saying you, but the average 20-year-old only has about 2 years of experience in programming, because he graduated at 18 or 17 and has been doing it full time for 2 years.
Professional programming.
Professional programming. And don't you agree that the average 30-year-old probably has, what, 12 years experience if he started at 18? So don't you also agree then it would be difficult for a 12-year-old to accept advice from a 2-year-old? So I'm just saying now, also imagine if you walk into a company where the company brags that 95% of all of its developers, and there's a lot, there's like hundreds, 300, 400, the company brags that 95% of its developers are fresh out of school, never programmed before. And you walk in there as a 30-year-old and you try to criticize. You are like preaching to a wall. So what I'm getting from you is the opposite. You're like a 20-year-old preaching to 30-year-olds. I just cannot picture that. Can you maybe elaborate?
Sure. That was, like I said, that was part of the job, right? And that was the big challenge of that job, dealing with people, like Dave was saying. And believe me, it was an uphill battle most of the time. And once again, this comes to the person, because I had some people who were just open-minded, who were just saying, Jose, I don't know this, help me. I'll follow what you suggest. Not just you, obviously, not just me, the instructors and the training material and all that good stuff, right? Microsoft best practices and whatnot. But then there were others, regardless of age or gender, and it was just like not easy to work with at all. They were just like looking for something to you know, like contradict you or something. So once again, this is to the individual. It doesn't, I don't think it has to do much with age or anything. It has more to do with the person, the individual. That's a pattern that I gather after all that time that I did there. But it was hard, Martin, really hard. That someone will come to me, and really intimidating, right? Even that someone will come to me with a question, and I'm like, well, okay, here's my answer, and then I didn't like it. And here this 20-ish year old kid really trying to tell someone with 10, 12 years of experience, right, that they were not really on the right way. So it was very challenging. And one of them went to a point of asking me flat out, Jose, how many years of experience do you have? And I said, none. And then he felt like he made his case at that time. But man, that also blew my freaking self-confidence at that time, because I let that get under my skin.
Yeah.
And when I thought I was doing good, then, I honestly felt like crap. That was me, right? That's my take. He made himself feel better, and I felt like crap because I took it that way. So that was my mistake.
Something to
right?
something to add about experience is that there are a lot of programmers who have 20 years of experience that are 20 years of experience. There are also and I don't remember where I heard this, but it's such a neat formulation that there are many programmers who have 1 year of experience, and they've had that same 1 year 20 times.
Absolutely.
Which I think was a really poetic way of putting the fact that not all experience is created equal. And so and especially too, I think Jose was talking about a context of being a C# programmer for all his career and being in a situation of trying to learn something about JavaScript and being thrown in with some 18-year-olds who had been doing JavaScript for their entire programming existence, right? Which probably included before being a professional programmer. And there are things to learn from those people, right? And so the humility is important, and seniors can often learn something from juniors, and it may not necessarily be some technical thing. Obviously, juniors can learn a lot from seniors, but that's why pair programming is so effective, is because you pick up stuff from each other, and it might be subtle. You might not even realize that you learned something from the experience, but somebody else has a different approach. They have a different different experiences, different perspective, and there's even if somebody's only had 2 years of experience, they've probably experienced something different than what you've experienced. And there's yes, you probably have a lot more of that to offer to them than they do to you, but when we keep our minds open to the fact that, hey, there may be something to learn here from my kids, right? My kids teach me stuff all the time. They look at the world differently than me, and they make observations that I'm like, you know what? I never thought of it that way. And it's remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's just basically what I've been keeping in mind as well, across the board. So wherever I join, I usually ask the question, what do you have, seniors, mids, or juniors? And they think I just want to roll with the big guys, the senior architect guys. Like, no, I also would like to see if you have juniors. Why? Because I see things differently. My junior days are certainly not the same as their junior days or what it is going on today. It's a totally freaking different world from what it was, 10 years ago. So once again, I just try to keep a mind open. And my boys remind me of that every single day.
Yeah.
To go a day by that I don't learn something from them. And man, it's really humbling. Like, oh crap, I did not know that. And it's just like, it just comes to a point where I admitted, like, you know what? That's it. I don't know everything. I give up. I'm going to move on. And ever since I dropped that mantle, things have become a little bit easier to move on forward. Because I'm maybe endorsing my goddamn imposter syndrome. I was like, you know what? Why are we avoiding it? People tell me, girls with tough skin. I've seen some polls, right? Girls with tough skin, people are going to always say this or that or whatever. Now, you know what? Yeah, why are we doing this? You know what? Forget it all. I'm going to embrace my imposter syndrome. Yes, I'm an imposter. Now what? I didn't burn. Am I going to get kicked out of being a developer? And if I do, well, whatever. But, so, sometimes we as developers, as people, we don't even know what we fear, but we fear something. So this is when you get in the realm of psychological and all the good stuff. And it's just, we are great problem solvers. But the problem with that is that we create our own problems. We make them bigger than what they are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Reminds me of this every time. Like, why are you always overcomplicating the solution to a simple problem? And this comes to over-engineering, over-architecting, overthinking it. Like Dave, you were talking about the conference. Dude, who knows? Maybe it's gonna be a freaking breeze and a blast.
Yeah.
For it.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell yes.
So you see what I'm coming from, right? It's just like that's the gears in our head and nowhere else.
Hey, but creating simple software is incredibly complex.
Yes.
It is. Always. It always is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are humans. So are humans.
Yeah. So two experiences, right, that I think are relevant to this, right? There was a day where I did 2 interviews, right? And this was a year ago, maybe more, right? That in the morning I interviewed Richard Campbell, right? Who, everybody knows who Richard Campbell is, right? .NET Rocks, the seasoned, wise, probably the smartest person I've ever met, right? In all my life. This guy knows everything inside and out, right? And of course he was spectacular as I mean, how could he not be? And then I talked to Josh Vardy, who I think he was like 22 at the time we did the interview. And I wasn't fully aware of his age. Kathleen Dollard had told me, hey, you should talk to this guy. He's doing cool stuff. And so I got him, and I didn't really know much about him. And he was like, yeah, I remember that, when I was a little kid, one of the first things I did was that I was playing Halo. I was like, Halo? When you were a little kid? and so, I was like, oh, gee, holy cow, right? But that was so cool, right? I mean, the interviewing those guys on the same day, right? This seasoned veteran who has so much to teach, and this young kid, and he's an edge case, right? Because and Kent C. Dodge too, right? So young and with so much to offer, and it's great to talk to those people, right? And most 20-somethings are not that brilliant, right? So with a grain of salt, of course, but it was so cool just to be able to contrast those ages, and that there's something to learn from all of those different people, and their experiences have something to offer. Yeah.
Richard told us when he visited us here in Stellenbosch, he told us when they started out, they had the biggest pawn ASCII, or the biggest ASCII pawn collection on earth. You know what ASCII is? It's like graphics, it's those characters.
Yeah, like ASCII art. Dirty ASCII
yeah.
art. I don't think I've seen that.
So he said that when they started out, they had the biggest ASCII pawn collection on earth. That was hilarious. But I mean, I've seen ASCII porn in my days. I remember what that looks like. But so I knew exactly what he was talking about. But I've never known that there was like a collection of it.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. But sex drives the world. So that makes sense. That's funny. So the other thing too was, Jerry Weinberg, right? Old guy, right? Legend of software, has done so many things, worked for IBM for years and years, has written, zillions of books, right? It's all out there. And, great guy, right? I did him for a second interview, right? I spoke with him, I guess it was a couple weeks ago. Actually, more than that. His is, actually, I released it. That one's already out. So it's been even more than a couple weeks. But, guy knows everything there is to know about software. And, I was trying to get him into the web app that I used to record that gives me a local recording on both sides. And it was kind of funny realizing that, not to badmouth him at all. I mean, the man is brilliant and wonderful, but he didn't know what he was doing in trying to deal with the browser and get the thing up and running on his machine. And he didn't have a current version of his browser because he always used the default browser, Safari, that was on his machine. And we couldn't get it to work. And so I wound up recording the Skype call instead of having my normal recording with the thing. But I mean, it was just kind of funny that, I have some things that I know that he doesn't, right? And that's just kind of a funny realization for somebody that is that amazing, somebody who has done so much, has accomplished so much, and so much reason to look up to him, right? There are things that that he doesn't know, right? And that's it's I don't know, it's interesting, it's relevant.
But David, on your show, one of the guys said that the wisdom they learned from this guy was something about like, if you ever go on a conference and you have an important training meeting tomorrow or an important conference to give, something that's I still remember today, he said was not to drink too much. You know what? Yeah, I'm sitting in my lounge, so you can just imagine I like to drink. But anyway, for me, that was an important word of wisdom. So, you know, that guy might not know about the latest Internet Explorers and Chromes, but you know what? He can give you a lot of wisdom
Oh yeah.
about what not to do on important events like that. And I honestly think that kind of wisdom you only learn with age, with a lot of mistakes, and it's difficult to preach that kind of wisdom. You know, it's easy to install the latest Internet Explorer, but it's very hard to learn those kind of lessons.
Yeah. No question.
And I honestly want to buy his bundle of books on his website after I've learned about them from you guys.
Yeah.
Because I want to learn more, you know.
Yeah. 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 And I don't mean to disparage him at all, right? I mean, the man's amazing. And yes, he has so many amazing, wonderful lessons to learn or to teach, I should say. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm already the old man, so even in my once again, even in my own house, I'm like trying to set up some games for my kids. Supposedly, I'm the gamer of the family. No, no. They're the one who teach me. Hey, Dad, you gotta do it like this. You gotta go here. I'm like, how do I get to that menu? Oh, you do this. I'm like, okay. I'm like, hey guys, how do I shoot or how do I, whatever? Like, oh, you do it like this. You spin and whatever. I'm like, oh. All right, then. Thanks. And that's it, you know. And once again, I think as you, as a person, as an individual, learn to embrace that, things become easier within your mind, right? Within your thoughts. That there's going to be people who are willing to teach you a lot. But if you're not ready as a receptor, if your receptor's not ready,
We just lost Jose. Yeah. Have you guys noticed that I Chrome has crashed twice on me in the call? Have you noticed that I wound up dropping out a couple times?
Actually appeared duplicated a few times.
Oh, yeah.
And I see Jose
That's
duplicated right now.
Yeah, me too.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I wound up refreshing after I get the, oops, something happened, thing in Chrome or whatever it is.
Hey, it's coming back.
Hangouts
sabotage.
is a little strange.
Sabotage.
Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage.
Yeah, it is.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Let's just embrace. I mean, for me, I'm just embracing, what I know and I don't know, and I'm gonna be moving forward with that. Like Ted Norick said, right? Dave in his episode podcast, saying, what is it? I know that I know, I know I don't know, and I don't know that I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's cool. That is very cool.
Yeah. So it's,
he was
kind of
quoting
embracing
Donald Rumsfeld. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just coming full circle. Like, you know what? I'm just gonna take that approach, man. It's just much easier to take that and once again embrace it as opposed to like avoid it or not think about it or grow some tough skin or whatever, right? So it's just, you know what? Come here, imposter, come here. No. Come here. You're my buddy. Come here. Let's work together. Here's a hug. Move on, and that's it. And just let it be. Somebody once told me, actually, one of my pseudo mentors. He was the part of a 12-step program, AA, and he was like, he's an awesome man. And one of the first times we met, he actually gave me a hug. I'm like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? I don't even know you, right? But after a nice little great conversation, he was like, Jose, hug as much as you can. These are the hugs that we didn't get when we were kids. So every time you get to give a hug, give a hug. Doesn't matter to whom. You know why? Because they might need it way more than you do. So here it is. Here's a hug. And dude, it was genuine. I was like, cool. So, I kind of took that. I didn't process it then, but now it's time to make more sense so things go by. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to do with my imposter syndrome and all this other stuff. Like, come here. You need a hug. That's what you need. Stop acting like a little spoiled brat. Let me give you a hug, and we can all go home happy.
That's cool, man.
So that's the kind of mentality I'm taking now.
I have a friend from Ukraine who basically, I mean, every conversation, I don't think he can talk to someone without putting his hands on them. You know, it's kind of, it's interesting. And it bothered me at first. Right. But it's cool. You know, I think it's a cultural thing, right? You know, that's very different. And Americans are very, you know, why are you putting your hands on me kind of a thing. But man, it's really neat that he does that.
Yeah, just all through those
Different
experiences.
people react to it very differently too, even within a given culture.
Yeah.
People are much more amenable to touching than others.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as I told my daughter this night, she was crying after I preached to her about something. She cried, and she cries easily. And I said to her, please excuse me. I don't know how to talk to people. I'm trying to preach to you, and I'm trying to teach you something. I'm not upset at all, and you are not in trouble at all. And I said to her, girl, make as many mistakes as you can, because you will actually learn more. I don't know. That's just how I view life. I don't view the mistakes I made, and I made horrible mistakes. But even though there are mistakes, I believe that there's lessons I've learned that other people are yet to learn. You know, even though they haven't made those mistakes, and they can say they haven't made those mistakes, I think they're just walking time bombs. You know, they could still make those mistakes.
Yeah.
That's I don't know what you're saying that you don't know how to talk to people. I think that was awesome advice.
Yeah. Totally.
That was awesome advice.
Well, she was crying. I felt very bad, but sure.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I made my daughter
But,
cry today too, and I totally messed up. I mean, she was whining about that mom was going to go eat somewhere that she wasn't getting to eat there enough, and I basically told her that, hey, you're whining, and had some fairly harsh words about her entitled attitude, and she cried. And I messed up. I stepped into it. I should have been more gentle with trying to persuade her to realize that that she should not just expect to get whatever she wants. Right. I think my message was okay, but my delivery was really bad. And so it was exactly the same thing. Right. I mean, I had my daughter in tears because I was insensitive, and I apologized to her for that, and rightly so. And I think it's kind of the same thing, and I think kids take something away from that too. That, hey, dad admits that he's wrong and admits that doesn't have it all figured out. I think that's a positive message for the kids as well.
And I tell that to my kids every day. Like, guys, I don't know everything. I know I'm bigger than you, at least physically, for a couple of years more, but I don't know everything. And that's why I ask you guys questions, because I don't know the answer to those questions. And they're okay with that, because I'm encouraging them to speak up their mind, their opinion, right? Even if we disagree, that's okay too, because there's going to be people out there that, will disagree with their opinion. I mean, my word is my world. Dave's word is Dave's world, right? And Martin's word is Martin's world. And Noah's world is Noah's world. So it's kind of quiet though, Noah. Come on. But that's the point, right? That's I think that's a picture. I think that doesn't know anymore. He stays so still, by the way. Just to let you know, a little bit. But that's the thing that I'm trying to, not just teach them, but actually apply to myself, right? Kind of like also live by those words.
Yeah.
And kind of like, you know what, guys? I think we're all gonna screw up as a parents, right? Because it's like just like a great wise man once said, "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it as we go."
Yeah,
that's the agile movement, and it works.
That's true. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they'll probably figure it out once they're old enough. They're like, my pop doesn't know what the hell he's doing and talking about. He's old school. He doesn't know. He's old for his age, and the same kind of idea that I kind of taught about my parents. Like, They don't know what they're doing. They were born in a really different time. They don't get computers, and now you can talk to people on the internet and blah blah blah. So it's just different. That's all. And we just have to be running with the punches.
Yeah.
And that's all. And you know what? We all make mistakes. We all sometimes think if the advice or the course of actions were the best. But I believe that people are generally good and that we do the best that we have at the given time.
Hell yes.
That's always my belief. I don't think anyone is really generally bad, especially a parent to a kid. I mean, there's some really bad apples out there, but I think that most of us try to do the best for what we have.
Yeah.
Always. So we have to be a little bit fair with ourselves sometimes, because we are our worst critics. Come on, guys. Our own code does not even go that far. Our own approach. Oh my God, 6 months ago, what was I thinking? Exactly.
Yeah.
Same deal. So that's just my 2 cents. I want to hear Noah though. Can I like donate some of my time to Noah?
Well, I totally agree with what you said about screwing up sometimes, especially when it comes to raising children. I talked to my wife about it, and I'm like, that's just it. We're just gonna do the best we can do, and they'll turn out how they turn out, and they're gonna have to figure the rest out afterward.
Yeah.
So,
I can remember being a kid and thinking, man, I can't wait till I get to be my dad's age and I have it all figured out the way he does. And yeah, still looking for good.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I was a pretty good kid when I was older. When I was young, I was a little brat and a terror. But as I got older, I think I was pretty respectful and appreciative of my parents. But even that, I did not even to appreciate them the way I do now after having children of my own, and how difficult the job is.
Yeah.
I think I told Dave. Dave, didn't I tell you this? And I heard this from other wiser, older, more experienced people. Okay, they were like, "You do not learn to be a son or a daughter until you become a parent yourself." Something along those lines. I'm like, crap, because today I feel like I'm a better son than I was many years ago. So yeah, to
Someone on Dave's show recently said that a parent learns from their children. I think it was Eric Lippert or the guy just before him.
It was who?
And I don't remember if it was Eric Lippert or the guy just before him, or maybe one before that. But he said when a parent realizes that you actually learn from your children, not just the children from you, that is the day that you appreciate them. And I must say,
I don't remember that, but yeah.
I honestly agree with what that guy said. That for me, that was like an eye opener. When I play with my children now, I realized that the fun and the appreciation and all of this that I'm getting out of them is how much I'm learning from them. Because I'm getting another opportunity to look at the world through their eyes. It's actually, I'm learning a lot.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely awesome. Yeah. So I think on that note, right, speaking of playing with the kids, that's probably exactly what I need to go do at this point. So I think good talk, guys. I really enjoyed this today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Done really well.
Yeah. So I think it's about time to sign off. So until next time.
Hasta la vista, people.
Thanks.
All right.
Enjoy your week.
All right. Good night, Martin.
Good night, guys. Cheers.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.